Welcome to Asunción in Paraguay. Paraguay against Colombia, both countries with serious ambitions to qualify for the 1990 World Cup finals. Only one team can go through, though, from this group two, the winners of the group, and they'll face the winners of the Oceania section, that's Israel, in a playoff home and away. So it's a long road ahead, and this is a crucial game for both these nations. One game in the group so far. Colombia got off the mark with a 2-0 home win against Ecuador. Paraguay taking the field in World Cup competition in this sequence of qualifying games for the first time. They've got a side with a lot of experience from the '86 finals, when they gave a good account of themselves. Cáceres, Zavala, and the much-capped Torales and Delgado were all there in Mexico, as was Guash and Núñez, the old grey fox, the left-sided midfield player. Romero, known as Romerito in these parts. Nefa is only 17, so he's one of the new generation. And Cayetano Rey, just reappointed as the coach of Paraguay only a matter of days ago, but he was the coach in 1986. Paraguay qualified in 1930, 1950, 1958, and then that long gap until the last competition 3 years ago. They're a poor country, really, with a population of around 3 million. Most of their players earn their living outside Paraguay. And amongst the substitutes, Fernandez was a goalkeeper in '86, as was Ferreira, a fine attacking player down the left side, but he's only a substitute in this particular selection. Colombia come here with their home country in turmoil, of course, with the political upheavals against the drug barons, and the players perhaps finding it a little hard to concentrate on the matter in hand. We shall only wait and see. Higuita, the goalkeeper, celebrating his 23rd birthday today, and a lot of quality in their midfield. The number 12, Carlos Valderrama, really has made a worldwide reputation in recent years, and Redin, the number 10, is not far behind him in talent. Up front, Galeano and Iguaran, who got both goals a week ago against Ecuador. And the coach is Pancho Maturana. The referee comes from Chile, Hernan Silva. A bright afternoon, and we've got an interloper. There's a dog on the pitch. Well, you learn to expect the unusual in South American football, and that might delay the kick-off as we look, courtesy of the Paraguayan television director, at the Colombian substitutes. Now, these teams met recently in the Copa America, the South American Cup, when Paraguay did particularly well in the first phase and qualified for the latter stages, and they beat Colombia 1-0 in the first group games with a goal from Mendoza. All the officials from Chile. So it's going to be Colombia to kick off, and Valderrama with that pullet-like hairstyle. I'm not sure who came first, really, but Carlos Valderrama doesn't need hair of that distinctive nature to be noticed on the pitch. Nefa will wear number 9, Mendoza number 11. That's a change from the list we were originally given. Not a change in personnel, just a change in numbers, and Colombia have done the same as the game goes underway. Galeano and Hoyos have been given different numbers from what we thought to be official list, but the match has started and the Paraguayans will really need to make the most of home advantage. All the speculation around the game is that Colombia will mass their midfield and just look to play a little on the break, and they can do that with the range of passing that Valderrama has and Redin as well. Núñez, one of the Paraguayans who plays his league football in Colombia, and although the game has begun, the dog wants to join in, and this is quite extraordinary. The stadium so well policed against some two-footed invaders, or the threat of that, and our four-legged friend has got on again. Now, who's going to be brave enough here? You're never quite sure with stray dogs, are you? With a risk of rabies if the animal isn't quite as friendly as it might look. Well, the referee unabashed, and Núñez trying to get an early grip really in midfield for Paraguay. The header there from Zavala. There's some fairly tough defenders Paraguay can call upon, notably Delgado, who earns his living in Argentina with Independiente. There he is, with a timely tackle in terms of the point I was about to make, but not so timely as far as Galeano was concerned. And now we are going to have to rid the pitch of the intruder. Well, we'll learn a little bit about the characters of one or two individual players here. Everyone's saying, after you, Claude, or after you, Carlos, should we say. Higuita's got the gloves. Now that should give him a bit of protection. The animal hasn't actually revealed which side it would like to play on, but it hasn't shown either any reluctance to depart. The crowd quite patient. Well, that's Ramon Hicks, the Paraguayan with the English name and the English father as well. Well, that's not going to ingratiate the players to the animal rights followers. Throwing the ball and one or two other objects at the dog that shows every sign of being a big-time performer here. Now Delgado's going across. Now that would frighten quite a lot of opponents of his. And yes, Rogelio Delgado is shepherding the dog towards the exit. He's popped back out again, and Delgado's going to make another tackle. Well, it's somewhat softened the mood, which, with these games being played over such a short time, the importance is almost magnified, and there is always the risk of tension spilling over to some bad behaviour on the pitch, but I think that's softened things a little, at least for the moment. The clearance from Perea. Núñez with a throw. Paraguay lining up with Nepa up front with Hicks. Cáceres, the right back. There's a lot of experience in the centre of their defending, Paraguay, but they've given the ball away to Galeano. And then Iguaran, who can be so dangerous, as Ecuador found out a week ago, even at the age of 32. And Colombia played Paraguay in the 87 South American Cup, and Iguaran got a hat-trick then. A 4-1 win. Here's Hicks, one of 10 children from the English father. Cáceres. Nicely down by Higgs. But the cross is, an awkward one for the goalkeeper, Higuita, coming on the bounce. Higgs went to play in Spain after the '86 World Cup finals. When Paraguay reached the last 16, Iguaran getting a foot in. One back by Mendoza. Interesting cross towards Hicks, but the flag was up for offside. The Paraguay style under Cayetano Rey in the past, and he's an old World Cup veteran from the '58 finals. Oh, and Delgado already has put his rather nasty trademark on this game. I was going to say, and he deservedly gets the yellow card here. The Paraguay play a direct form of football, rather in contrast to other South American nations, and that was a very cynical piece of play by Delgado. Well, Paraguay dealing with a free kick and looking to counter-attack here with the speed of Nefa, still only 17, and he's just freshened the mix a little bit for Paraguay in their recent selections. A lot depending on Romero's contribution in midfield. He spent last season with Barcelona. This is Alvarez. Núñez, who's built so sturdily, he's got legs like tree trunks, and using them to make that tackle on the number 14, Leonel Alvarez. Valderrama. Alvarez, Valderrama couldn't control as the header came his way. And it's Hoyos, the left back, who stepped in. Romero playing on the right-hand side of midfield. Well, that was Wilson Perez. Well, Delgado got a card, but the referee shows nothing to the Colombia right back. And it was a fairly violent challenge. Zavala's gone forward. Núñez, who can deliver the ball so well, and it's made very nearly the opening goal. It was Nefa who headed powerfully and with good accuracy as well, but Higuita made an athletic save here as the flick-on came into a pack of Paraguayans there, and Nefa denied by a fine save by René Higuita. Colombia drawn towards the first ball in and didn't deal with the flick until the goalkeeper bailed them out. And he started the match on his 23rd birthday, Higuita, in excellent fashion. Nefa letting it run. And that was disappointing, and if you do make a mistake at this level of the game in front of such partisan fans as Paraguay's are, and the reaction is likely to be a little bit hostile. Wash came across then and gave away the free kick. Redin plotting over the taking of it with Hoyos. Here's Redin. Valderrama has had most of the publicity of Colombia's success as a result of Colombia's success in building a much more capable team in the 80s, but Redin, the number 10, really is a comparable player. Hoyos. Free kick given against Higuaran. Chilavet, the goalkeeper, plays his football in Spain with Zaragoza. He didn't take part in the Copa America, but they've got him back for the World Cup qualifiers. Romero. A former South American Footballer of the Year, Julio Romerito, played in the United States with New York Cosmos. But every time Romerito plays for Paraguay, the expectations on him are huge. Hoyos. Neither side really has taken a firm grip yet on the game, although Paraguay have made the one opening for Nefa's header. Valderrama almost leisurely keeping the ball then until X fouled him. He's something of a strolling player. He's been in France with Montpellier, and they've likened him there to a Colombian Platini. His high praise. Higuaran battling away and pressing Delgado. Higuaran, the number 16. And it was a decision that went Paraguay's way. A push by Higuaran on the bearded Delgado. To qualify for the 1986 World Cup finals, Paraguay did beat Colombia, so Colombia with something of a score to settle here. And looking to push players forward quite impressively when they do get possession in midfield. That's Alvarez with the shot, and there were others up with him, 3 in the centre. Hicks. Run back by Paraguay, with Romero getting the tackle in, and now the right back Virginio Cáceres with a throw. The surface isn't the truest that you would expect to find at this level of the game, although South American players usually so adept to controlling the ball, but just as we say that, Paraguay give it away. And with Galeano waiting in the centre, it was good judgment by Chilavet to come and claim the cross. The bounce is a little awkward, the bobbles will be difficult to control. but South American World Cup football is a spectacle of its own unique kind, and you can be sure whatever happens here, there'll be something that you'll take away as a special memory. It might be a great goal, a clever piece of ball juggling on a difficult surface, or a display of petulance above and beyond what's often on view for the European viewer and spectator. And clever interplay like Paraguay putting together here. But Valderrama finding space and the ball attracted to him as though he was the magnet. Here he is again. He's just loitering on that right-hand side, watching Paraguay develop an attack, and suddenly the ball twice with Valderrama, and Colombia haven't lost it since then. Good effort. His second shot of the game, and Chilavert is annoyed that he wasn't closed down. It was a lazy swing of the right leg, but the ball sped off with terrific power, and it flew past the goalkeeper to his left, and he was relieved to see it go on past that post. Surprised by the power, Chilavert. The goalkeeper was covering that side of the goal too, and yet he still wasn't able to make a save. Came to him just on the bounce. That replay from the camera on the 18-yard line, just showing perhaps why Chilavert was getting extra problems with the shot, but it was a good effort from Leonel Alvarez, 24-year-old midfield player. Debut in 1987 for Colombia. And again, Colombia are lacking in the air. And this time it was Romero who got forward unattended. Colombia hoping for offside, but it wasn't forthcoming. This will give us a linesman's eye view of it, and it was right that the flag stayed down. It was a good opening. And Paraguay now have had two of those, both with headers. Wilson Perez with a tackle. Redin bounced up, and might have been handball against him, but in fact it was dangerous play given against the Paraguayan midfielder Guash. Hoyos wanting too long, and then having to redeem himself with a foul. Free kick to be taken by Julio Romero, and another chance maybe to expose a weakness in the air for Colombia, but Higuita claims it safely. Colombia reached the semi-finals of the Copa America in '87, but weren't so effective last month in the tournament staged in Brazil. Rush playing it in, and Hicks, can he get there? No. Well, Ramon Hicks, who before he became a professional footballer was a trainee priest, has almost in a position to offer up a prayer of thanks then. But the ball ran away from him. But Paraguay starting to get a grip now in front of their own supporters. Estimates of a crowd around 50,000 in Asuncion. Mendoza. And Colombia being pressed back again. The chances starting to come for Paraguay, and another barometer, or reading on the barometer, is the number of free kicks they're getting in Colombia's half. Jorge Nunes takes it. And again, not a decisive defensive header. Higuaran serving his side well, trying to break forward, and hoping that he was going to force Delgado into conceding a free kick. That didn't happen. But Colombia at the moment needing a way out. They're under pressure. Header from Alvarez. But there's no respite. Advantage played by the referee. Hoyos. Redin playing it sloppily square. Still 0-0 if you've just joined us, between Paraguay playing their first match in Group 2 and Colombia, who have a win under their belts, 2-0 at home to Ecuador, the third team in this three-nation Group 2. Paraguay are pressing on at this stage of the first half and looking the more likely to give the game an opening goal. Remember that Uruguay and Brazil look likely qualifiers from the other two South American World Cup qualifying groups, and this really is the most open of the three. And it should provide some very, very good football at this level as it develops. Ecuador certainly not also-rans. Free kick given against Guash. And a chance for Colombia just to regroup a little bit. Hit by Escobar from left to right to Wilson Perez. Valderrama for him, that was a poor attempt at control, and it's allowed Paraguay to put their foot on the accelerator again. Mendoza switching to the right hand side, are looking to supply the through ball. Valderrama going through the tackle by Guash. Paraguay looking to put on a show to celebrate the recall of Cayetano Rey as coach. Hoyos stopping them making progress this time. Back to him from Escobar. And Redin for a moment mastered the bounce of the ball, but it ran away from Colombia. Paraguay 0, Colombia 0, half an hour gone. Unlike Colombia, Paraguay have been champions of South America in the past, only once in 1979, when their major club side, Olympia, were also a force, supplied a lot of players to the national team. Mendoza, hooked on by Hicks, looking for Mendoza again. Nefas in the centre. Romero is there as well, and there's got to be an offside, surely. The flag did go up, but the referee was a little late in spotting it. Higuita had to concentrate on making a save just in case. But there was no question here that the linesman was absolutely right before the ball actually reached the Paraguayan in an offside position. Hicks, though, just questioning the decisioning, the making of the decision, and Colombia just concerned at the same time about Higuita. Higuita is quite a character. He is the penalty taker for Colombia and has done that in club football as well. Hicks, he's worked hard on the full width of the field. And he's not the most stylish striker, Ramon Hicks, but he doesn't lack for effort, and he's forced a corner. Be taken by Nunes. Valderrama trying to find a way out for Colombia. Looking to hit Paraguay on the break here. Alvarez. And Iguaran made up the ground. And Colombia then were close to being caught out through a lack of concentration deep in their own territory by Cáceres. And from being on the wrong end of a corner, at the other end of the ground, Colombia have one of their own, to be taken by Bernardo Redin. Can't bypass the near post. Redin again. Played in there by the tall centre-back Escobar, who'd come up to the corner. Valderrama, never the most popular with supporters when he's in the visiting team, but an idol in his own country. Paraguay have gone rather slovenly in their play over the last couple of minutes, and Colombia looking to take advantage of that. Free kick conceded by Zavala. Iguaran not too seriously damaged. Wilson Perez, the right back's come across to get involved at the set play. He's the number 4. Iguaran has joined the wall. Hoyos loitering to the left if they play it this way. Redin over the ball. And he takes it. Delgado blocked it. Alvarez. Valderrama. Well, he hasn't quite got the range with his shooting. That's something of an understatement. And for the second time in a couple of minutes, Carlos Valderrama slices wide, and that was horribly wide. Still 0-0, still the way Colombia would like it. A draw would be a most useful result for them if they could achieve it here in Asunción. And they've survived quite a tricky spell midway through the first half to bounce back with some more incisive football of their own. They'll use up time whenever they can. And X doing a bit of retrieving. Nepa. Well, this direct style of Cayetano Rey again, getting the ball forward, but Hicks can't deal with it. Nunez. Blocked by the tall Pereira. And tidied up by Wilson Perez. Now the ball, a hot potato at the moment. No one wants to spend any time in control of it. Played quickly by Redin. Alvarez pressed. Partly down to the conditions. Partly down to the determination of opponents to get a tackle in, but also one or two players, I was going to say, lacking a bit of confidence in their own ability, but Colombia beginning to gain confidence themselves, and Galliano, who was the furthest player from the point of view of Hoyos, who drove across more at Redin, but it ran on to Galliano, but he was off target. Colombia can point to the fact now that they are getting some strikes in towards goal, if not exactly at goal. Chilavert hasn't been called upon to make the saves that Higuita has. It was a fairly robust challenge by Pereira. Nunez to take the free kick. And the offside trap was one way to try and improve their defending in the air. Make sure that the man who wants to head the ball, although no header was forthcoming then, is in an offside position. The timing of the charge of the back line that's crucial. Off they go, and it worked as the ball was kicked. Good screening by X, but the pass lacked a bit of vision, and then Galliano gives the ball away for Colombia. Mendoza. In the 1986 World Cup finals, Paraguay played with two wide players, Mendoza on the left and Buenaventura Ferreira, one of the two Ferreiras, on the right-hand side. But Ferreira is a substitute for this game. And they've opted for a more midfield role for that player, which is Romero on the right-hand side, and the width isn't quite as natural down this near flank for Paraguay. They're playing with two through the centre in Ix and Nefa. Valderrama trying to pull the strings from midfield for Colombia. At the moment the match has just lost a little bit of shape. But it does reflect what I was saying at the outset, that this is a very tight group. Both these countries believe they've got the potential to earn a place in Italy. And nothing's been given away, or very little. Free kick taken by Perez. It's a push by Galliano. And Silva, quite a unspectacular official, no great gestures, and he's done his best to keep the game moving. It's a game, though, at the moment, if you're watching as a complete neutral, you would say needs a goal, but you have to evaluate it in the context of the group. And the longer Colombia can maintain the status quo here, the happier they will be. And Alvarez can't make any progress from midfield. Nunes looking for Ix through the centre. Nefer is there as well, and the goalkeeper's got to come, and came bravely. Paraguay have had moments in this first half when they've been able to sustain some pressure, but they're still waiting for the breakthrough. Ix. Well, they're having to deal with some mass ranks of Colombian defending. And even a player as skillful as Romero hasn't really been able to make an impact on this game for Paraguay. That's hooked in dangerously by Mendoza. And the flag has stayed down. This is Hicks. Well, there's something of an inquest there for both sides. Colombia will be wondering quite how they allowed Hicks to get the ball there in an onside position with such an amount of time, and Hicks will be wondering why he didn't deliver a better ball across the face of the goal. It's another corner to Paraguay, headed out by Escobar, chased by Alvarez, who ran the ball to a semblance of safety. Valderrama's not very pleased because he wanted more than just that. It's not really in his nature to sit back and play for a draw. 0-0 it is, but it hasn't been without chances, it hasn't been without incident. Nunes varying the free kick. Torrales was a little slow to react. Valderrama not given time to settle. Paraguay have got to maintain that policy. Ix, who's had a lot of the ball and has worked hard to get that, but hasn't been able to fashion a move or finish off a move. I think Colombia will be pleased to hear the half-time whistle. Escobar's header, keeping Paraguay at bay. And there's always Redin and Valderrama to conjure up a moment of magic from midfield, and Iguaran to round it off. Valderrama couldn't quite get there. He's kept the ball in play though. Alvarez. Now Hoyos raiding forward from left back, and a twisting header from Iguaran. It wasn't an easy one because he got to keep the ball going on rather behind him to get the effort on target. Paraguay, who've had the better of the first half, having to defend as this half comes to an end. Alvarez, Valderrama. A touch from Perez, the anchor man in midfield. It's barely time, one would think, for Chilavert to kick long. Indeed, there is the half-time whistle. Well, a first half in which Paraguay have pushed on and pressed and made 3 good chances, a couple of headers that went wide, but Colombia have held out, and on a ground where a draw will do, they've got the greater cause for satisfaction. Paraguay 0, Colombia 0 in Asunción, in Paraguay's first game in Group 2. Colombia with 2 points from 1 outing and looking at least to get a draw here to build a platform for winning the group. And Paraguay will now know that these 45 minutes are very, very important for their World Cup ambitions. They did dictate the tempo for good spells of the first half, without, I suppose, ever ripping Colombia apart. But the pressure led to some penetration. Higuita made one particularly good save early in the half. And he might have been a little bit concerned about the way some of his colleagues defended in front of him, notably on balls played in the air. No substitutions during the half-time break. Ready. Galliano. Nunes. Tigerish as usual. Torales with a throw. Paraguay did very well in the opening phase of the Copa America and then lost to Brazil, having qualified already for the second phase with a team that included several reserves. It seemed a good policy at the time, but somehow that defeat affected their confidence, and they didn't score against Brazil and they didn't score in their remaining 3 games in the tournament. So it started full of promise and ended rather tamely, that tournament for them, which is the best guide for form for the World Cup qualifiers. That applies to all the South American countries. Colombia, as I said right at the start, played Paraguay when Paraguay were in that good spell and were beaten 1-0. But it's 0-0 here. Escobar to Hoyos, and now Alvarez and Valderrama. Nunes wins it back for Paraguay. Well, that was an awkward bounce. There are more rutted surfaces in South America, but this one still requires a deft touch. Alvarez didn't get it very far. Pereira was behind him. Nunes. Hicks coming deep. further teenager, but it didn't quite come off. And that's possibly been the story for Paraguay so far. They seem to carry a little bit more physical power than Colombia, possibly not quite the stealth from their midfield that Verdín and Valderrama can supply. Núñez. All tight and tense. Alvarez wins it back to Colombia. Hoyos clears, not very far. Valderrama looking for Galliano, but Zabala stepped in and now goes on himself. Oh, and it was taken away at the last from Higuita by Escobar. That was an awkward moment caused by the adventure from the back of Zabala. Nefa. We're going to have a substitution, and as Javier Pereira gets ready to come on, it's going to be Romero to go off. Now that's something of a surprise. Well, he's been instrumental in winning some battles in the past for Paraguay, Julio Romero. But if they're going to win here, they're going to have to do it without him. Javier Pereira comes on with only 5 minutes gone in the second half. One can only assume that Romero isn't fully fit. Alvarez taking the free kick all the way across to Hoyos, the left back. Delgado. Hicks making the run and hoping that the bounce might disconcert Pereira. Didn't do that, and Hicks was guilty of a foul. Free kick taken quickly. Oh, Valderrama then with a very late lunge. There haven't been too many really bad challenges, but that was one of them. On Mendoza. Mendoza was too quick really, and Valderrama was never going to make up the ground even by extending the leg. And it's going to be the newcomer, Javier Pereira, to take the free kick. Well, it was rather muddled away by Colombia. Retrieved by Hicks, and that was handball. Acknowledged by the culprit, Perez. Taken short by Núñez. Mendoza all left foot. Back from Guash. The match being played in Colombia's half at the moment. Until a spot of misjudgment by Zabala, who is cautioned for deliberate handball. Alvarez likes to play that ball. Done it several times in the match to bring Hoyos into an attacking position. They must keep an eye on Higuaín, Paraguay, if Colombia do break. He's the man in form. 2 goals against Ecuador. He's the man who's hurt them in the past with a hat-trick against Paraguay in '87. Rather miscued by Pereira, and Paraguay have a throw. Colombia's next match is in Ecuador. So in fact they will be involved in each of the opening 3 games in this group. And Paraguay play Ecuador here. And they'd love to do that with the benefit of a win over Colombia. That looked possibly like handball in there. The whistle hasn't gone, and so it has to go down as a chance that was missed by Paraguay. Still 0-0. Núñez stoking the boilers in midfield again for the Paraguayans. Mendoza and Javier Ferreira trying to provide some width for Paraguay. They've got to look to get round the back, really. Valderrama, that was a clever pass under pressure. And what can Colombia fashion from it? Higuaín, who can be very direct indeed, and it was a shot from an ambitious range, really. The header from Torales. Here's Núñez. And Higuita in trouble. No foul given. Redin. This was the ball that Ix and Higuita fought for. And while we were watching that replay, Galliano in trouble. And the yellow card shown to the number 9 for Colombia. Back header from Ix. Oh, and the bounce was a little awkward then. Alvarez dealt with it well enough when it spun back his way. Núñez. Difficult times these for Colombia at the moment. And I suppose we can say that applies off the field back in their home country as well. But on the field, they're grateful to get a free kick here in Asunción to relieve a spell of Paraguayan pressure. Back it goes to René Higuita. I was saying before he was a penalty taker. He scored a penalty in the Copa America against Venezuela. And here he is on his 23rd birthday with a clean sheet in prospect that would be vital to Colombia's chances of reaching the World Cup finals. Ix trying to change that, but not allowed the luxury of that amount of time. Well, Colombia perhaps feeling that the pressure is getting to the team at this moment and wanting to make a change. It's Zuriaga, I think, who's waiting to come on. So the coach, Francisco Pancho Maturana, preparing to make his first change for Colombia. And the foul there by Perea may well give him the opportunity to effect the change. It's Galliano who's coming off, who's had to work without much support up front with Higuaín. Zuriaga wearing number 7 comes on with 13 minutes played in the second half. And it comes on at a dangerous time as the free kick is taken. Perea got to it That's Delgado planting it back. Nefa. And this is Ferreira! The Paraguayan substitute dances in delight. Javier Ferreira has broken through at a time when Paraguay really were pressing for the opening goal. And Colombia couldn't deal with the free kick. And it was weight of numbers here that denied them. And it broke for one of two players who were free to the left. Ferreira, who shot almost through the goalkeeper. It's 1-0 to Paraguay. A great atmosphere now. And here's the scorer. Dispossessed by Alvarez. Núñez. Well, Colombia, because they've conceded this goal, will have to adopt a different policy over the half an hour or so that remains. Their first goal in the World Cup qualifiers. And it's Javier Ferreira, who'd been on the pitch barely 10 minutes. He's the man who's really lifted the spirits on and off the field in Asunción. Delgado's header. He's not the tallest man. He's got a case for being the toughest. Perez. Helped on by Valderrama, looking for Higuaín. Confirmation from the local television coverage here that they've got the goal scorer right. X. Oh, and Higuita rescuing Colombia, and Luis Carlos Pereira in particular, who was rather casual in his defending. Higuaín. Wants the return pass, and he's not going to get it. Well, they've worked hard to achieve the scoreline that could mean so much for them. Valderrama, beautiful control. Hoyos, the supporting player. But Paraguay certainly deserving their one-goal advantage, and it crowned an excellent spell. Mendoza looking to improve the position even further. They've been the more purposeful side in an attacking sense, although Colombia did have, what, 3 or 4 shots from distance in the first half, none of them really threatening, except possibly the one from Alvarez that sped past a sprawling goalkeeper, Chilavert, but went on past the post. Here is Alvarez. Well, he wants some movement around him, supplied by the substitute Suriaga, and some strength as well, but only because he shoved Torales. Juan Torales, 33 years old now, and a fixture through the 80s in the Paraguay setup. Paraguay were put out of the World Cup finals in Mexico by England by 3-0. Here's Ix, who played in that match and came face to face with his English ancestry. It's a corner to Paraguay at a stage of the game where a second goal really could ensure the 2 points. They work it short. Mendoza crosses, a good cross too. Ferreira. Oh, and that surely is dangerous play by Nepa. A 17-year-old who arrived on the scene in the Copa America and really played well when Paraguay got to grips with that competition so early on. Hoyos kept his nerve and kept the ball. Valderrama still really on the periphery of the match. That's not altogether his fault. Higuaran dived for my mind then, but got his free kick. By and large, the behaviour of the players has been very good. There hasn't been too much overreaction to fouls or decisions that have gone against them. Hoyos takes the free kick. Nunes meets it solidly in defence for Paraguay. Well, Chilavert almost getting involved in something that really didn't need to, and just as I praise the good tempers of the players, Suriaga ruffles the feathers of Zavala. He's a big man, the Colombian substitute, and a rather smaller figure, Hernandez, is going to replace Perez. Well, Paraguay continuing to look very dangerous, and Colombia having to accept the punishment for a wild piece of play here by Pereira, just catching a man who was in danger of breaking in behind him. Hernandez still awaits the call. 24 years old, a more attacking player than the man he's replacing, Ricardo Perez. Perez goes off straight to the tunnel. I wonder if the dog's still down there, where it was guided off by Delgado in that hilarious start to the game. Well, after the delay, the treatment has worked for Ferreira, and will the free kick work here for Paraguay? Higuita on his line and on his toes. Not trouble, but he wanted to prevent the corner, and he's not frightened of coming out of his area. Osuriaga, Alvarez. Valderrama did that beautifully with great economy after a miskick by Alvarez. Chilavert has been pretty much a spectator, but his concentration at a high level then. The distribution good too. Paraguay putting their passes together, putting the pressure on. Núñez, Osuriaga, Alvarez. Well, the ball stayed in play. Núñez, and Alvarez kicked through him then, and the referee produces a red card. Leonel Alvarez is off. It looked as though Osuriaga was going to be the Colombian to fight this particular battle, but Alvarez was almost being taunted by Núñez screening the ball from him then, and it was all a little too much. He hasn't gone yet, but he knows he must go. And the fourth official there would do well to keep Alvarez away from Núñez. I doubt if he wanted to apologise. More than likely he felt that Núñez made a meal of it. It was a bad tackle from behind, and it was right under the nose of the referee. I just wonder whether Núñez is hurt, but that's a matter of conjecture. What is a matter now of fact is the sending off of Alvarez, and Colombia a goal down and now a player down as well. Well, it was an explosion that came out of nothing, really. There was just the sort of competition for possession that we've seen throughout the match. But Alvarez, his blood boiling, came in from the back. Núñez went down and the card came out. Higuita. So they brought on two extra attacking players, well, two fresh attacking players, I should say, but they've lost a midfield man. So even more will depend on Valderrama's ability to produce a magical moment here. But it's very much a case now of put your money on Paraguay. Higuita looking for Osuriaga, who turns well for a man of his bulk. And he's won a free kick to Colombia. But you can look again at how close Paraguay came to a penalty here. That's clearly what was in the mind of the local commentator who would have summoned that replay. I must say I didn't see it as that straight away. But the defender was Pereira, who's having a hard time at the moment. And so too is Osuriaga from the referee and Núñez from the Colombian challengers. Maybe that's just one for my mate who's been sent off. Maybe that was the message from Osuriaga, and Núñez, who hasn't invited the Paraguayan trainers to come on too far. He's injured by the touchline again. The player who's gone off, incidentally, is X. And this is the second substitute. It's the second Ferreira. Buenaventura Ferreira. Well, there was a real grunt from Mendoza then, but the referee didn't take exception to the challenge. Still 1-0. But Colombia in danger as Redin becomes the latest player to get the yellow card, in danger of finishing this match with very depleted resources. They're down to 10 men already. But Paraguay, with both substitutes on, run the risk of losing someone from their ranks through injury. While it's 1-0, of course, there's still hope for Colombia, and they've still got to battle ahead. And battle is the operative word. Perez banging into the back of Mendoza. So the goal scorer will take the free kick. And the crowd find their voices again. Need some movement in the centre, and in fact the movement, as in the first half, came from the Colombian back line. It's a risky manoeuvre. It really takes some orchestrating. But the choreography was perfect that time. They came in a line, legs in unison. Nunes is built to withstand the sort of tackles that he's received in the last 5 minutes. The strength in the thighs considerable. He declines to take the free kick this time. Valderrama. Carlos Valderrama not happy with his French club Montpellier. This is Cáceres. Paraguay here in a position where they should be able to kill the game off with a second goal. It's always said that it's more difficult to play against 10 men, but they're playing now with a verve and a sophistication in their build-up that augurs well for this World Cup campaign. And although they're playing against 10 men, one shouldn't take too much away from the show they're starting to put on here, because they confirmed their domination before Colombia lost Alvarez. Nunes. Javier Ferreira, and that's offside against Nefa. And the official's absolutely right. And that's the advantage of these relatively recent innovation in camera placing and coverage on television. The best advantage from the 18-yard line camera is to adjudicate on offside decisions. Header away from Torrales, guided on by Nunes. Mendoza. The two Ferreiras determined to make an impact. Well, Javier has already done that. And the crowd enjoyed the back pass. They will enjoy them when the team's winning. There's a neat flick of the head by Torrales. Escobar beaten in the air, and that could have been the moment to secure the points. It was a very direct attack, and it was Nefa from Ferreira's flick who put it wide. Fireworks in the crowd, and we've had one or two on the field as well. Well, they're so close, aren't they, Paraguay, to wrapping up the match. And they're bearing down on Higuita's goal in waves now. Higuaín! Well, would you believe it? It's 1-1. A goal greeted in almost stony silence here in Asunción with just 3 minutes remaining. This goal scorer, who has not declined with age, Arnaldo Higuaín, 32 years old, and that's his third goal now in 2 games for Colombia in the World Cup qualifiers. And this against all the odds, down to 10 men and hardly getting the ball into Paraguay's half over the last 20 minutes or so. But Higuaín fashioned a goal really out of nothing. It was a terrific turn. Hernandez played it in, but there was an awful lot to do, and Higuaín did it with some style. And Paraguayan heads are being hung now out on the pitch. They cannot believe what has happened. The crowd is starting to move away in their disappointment. Some would say disgust at seeing their team throw away what looked like an absolutely certain victory. And now Colombia can use up the time. The feeling before the game was that these two teams were very close in ability and strength, and that it would be a tight run affair, but Paraguay were given the position, having scored first, and had the referee then sending Alvarez off. It seemed set up for an encouraging start to their World Cup campaign, and now the atmosphere is unbelievably different. Valderrama will just make sure that the free kick is played sensibly, and surely Colombia aren't going to try and win it now. Hernandez, full of energy and enthusiasm, one of the substitutes. The ball shepherded back to, and Higuita making Colombian hearts skip a beat. Nefa, the player challenging him, and that's not a very good kick. Well, this air of disbelief still pervading the stadium. But what a good goal it was, unless you have to be a Paraguayan. Colombia would confirm their position at the top of the group if it stays this way. We'll have 3 points from 2 games. Paraguay 1 from this one. Ecuador no points from their 1 defeat against Colombia. Cleared by Escobar. And it's going to be very hard in the time that remains, and by my watch we're moving towards the 90-minute mark. Higuita will be well aware of that, and the Paraguayans want to take the goal kick for him. That'll only slow things down even further. And there hasn't been too much time to add on. Colombia now on the verge of pilfering a point in Asunción through this man, Higuaín, but Núñez stands his corner again. Mendoza. Gusuriaga giving away the free kick. Is the time now for Paraguay? They've got to send everyone forward. 3 Colombians going for the same ball. That was unnecessary. Little air of panic then. It's a testing cross that the goalkeeper survived. Valderrama. Colombia, who have really, over the last 10 years or so, rebuilt their football, restructured it to come up with a team that can compete at the highest level. They showed that particularly in the '87 Copa America. They've been around the world and given a good account of themselves at international level, and here they are, showing considerable resilience. There's an object thrown at the goalkeeper then, and the Paraguayan supporters aren't known for their patience when things go against their favourites. Hernandez. Delgado trying to drive on his side. That was good defending by Hoyos. 1-1. We're into stoppage time. Away, that will suit Colombia by Perea. And look at Chilavert. He could get himself in trouble if he doesn't scamper back onto his line. He's done that. Delgado staying forward. But Colombia standing firm and trying to just keep the ball in the Paraguayan half through Usuriaga. Pereira. Well, the goalkeeper's gone for a ball that he was never going to get, and that's a penalty. On my watch, 3 minutes of stoppage time has elapsed, and we've got a sensation here. Colombia, who seem to have rescued themselves from a perilous position when they were a goal down and a player sent off, have been let down by their goalkeeper here, who tumbled into Delgado, I think it was. Did he have to go for it? Well, it's easy to judge it in hindsight. The penalty has been given, and I think he was right to give it. The Colombians are now in danger of being arrested en masse. They're being taken away from the Chilean referee, and they are furious. The penalty still has to be converted, and it's one of those situations where it might be the last kick of the game. On my watch, it really should be the last kick of the game. But there's mayhem on the field, and the police are doing a good job. The Colombians are being protected for their own good, protected from themselves. But are they going to stay on the field? Is this going to be a protest? Are they going to go off and forfeit the game? Well, that would be even worse than losing it. The ramifications would be considerable, and here we are again in a World Cup game in South America, where scenes have to be seen to be believed. Some of the more sensible Colombians have come away and they're trying to they realise the game has got to be restarted, but look at this. Well, sometimes you see the police dealing with fans on the field. Here they're dealing with misbehaving, dissenting footballers. But who is going to take the penalty? Now, Higuita is a goalkeeper who takes them himself and has quite an understanding, one would assume then, of the mentality of the men he faces when he goes about his normal job of work. But he's conceded the penalty. Can he now save it when the Paraguayans are in a position to take it, and that might be a while yet. And now Higuita has freed himself from the military men and has found a route to accost Hernan Silva, the referee, and he might be sent off before he can get into the firing line. If he continues this debate, he's going to be in serious trouble. But Colombia panicked a little before the ball got to Delgado here. They should have cleared it. Well, are we anywhere nearer a restart? Something else thrown on, looked like a plastic container. And it's not the Paraguayan fans who should be risking the wrath of FIFA here. Their team are so close now. One kick it would take away from surely winning the game. There'd be no comeback for Colombia from this situation if Paraguay score. It could be quite a big if, because it's going to be a penalty in which there will be immense pressure on the taker. Valderrama. I think some of the crowd still unsure as to whether the penalty had been given. The clue was the reaction, and it looks like Chilavert. One goalkeeper against another. Well, this is incredible. The goalkeeper who plays for Zaragoza in Spain is entrusted with a crucial kick. Success to certain points for Paraguay to start their World Cup campaign. Failure, and, well, he'll want to get back to Zaragoza as quickly as possible. And the Colombians are being allowed to use all the gamesmanship going. The referee surely has got to just get them away, and the way to do it is to brandish some cards. It's been, what, a good 5 minutes since he awarded the penalty. And still, Paraguay can't take it. And Higuita has decided that he can come back and prey on his opposite number's nerves. Look at this. Which one of them wants to take it? So, at last the ball can be spotted up. And Chilavert against Higuita. He scores! Paraguay have won with a goal from the goalkeeper. One of the most astonishing victories in World Cup history. That's no exaggeration. And Colombia pay the price. Well, Chilavert just wrapped his left foot round the ball and drilled it, with the goalkeeper diving out of the way almost. Well, it was a penalty that really tested him, and he came through with flying colours. And the game could well have finished at that point, but it hasn't. So we're some 11 minutes now past the scheduled time of finishing the game. Obviously, I would say 7 minutes of that taken up by the Colombian protests. But you have to wonder what the referee saw in the second half to add on such time. I think that's the one complaint Colombia might justifiably have, not the award of the penalty itself, should the game have been already over by then. Well, each of these fixtures throwing out a tale that you can recount for a long time to come. And still the referee plays on. As that extraordinary statistic of the goalkeeper scorer is recorded on the screen there. Suriaga, helped on by Valderrama. Colombia has still given time to recover, but there can only be seconds left. And there's the second biggest roar of the match, the first, the loudest, when Chilavert rammed in the penalty to win the points for Paraguay. He's the object of attention now. An amazing second half in which Javier Ferreira came on as a substitute and then scored to give Paraguay the lead. Alvarez sent off, Iguaran against all the odds equalising, and then the penalty that won it all deep into injury time. Paraguay 2, Colombia 1. This was a scene that stands repeating. And Chilavert is the hero of Paraguay. And Higuita has to go back to Colombia.